sounds to me like if we had a black or a brown person sitting in that seat and they said, well, you know, I don't really have the requisite knowledge, but I'm just going to empower all the people around me. Yes. Republicans would have a field day about that.
Even the Democratic
I'm not
Party,
a paid Republican strategist.
The Democratic
I'm not a paid Democratic
Party,
strategist.
Yeah,
Unlike somebody across the table.
She said he's a TV host.
It is his personal.
You're denigrating this man, so I don't get it.
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into the CNN panel, and we'll talk about it.
Today, look, it's very anticlimactic. He's probably going to be confirmed. He's going to have the votes. But I think it did raise some questions about what he did know about the military. And this obsession with women in the military that he seemed to have just a couple months ago and suddenly has disappeared, that also raises questions about whether he knows what is the source of the recruitment problem, Scott. And according to the Army, it's not women. Men are the problem.
Well, I think we have a recruitment problem across the board, A. B, I think what he was obsessed with is just whether or not the military is as ready as it can be, as ready as it should be, and as lethal as it should be. That is an obsession I would want the defense secretary to have. The key issue here is confirmation. Ernst questioned him. He answered it perfectly. He got it exactly right today. And everything he did today beyond this issue helped him towards confirmation. And I think everything the Democrats did today and the way they conducted themselves made it more likely that he'll be confirmed. They conducted themselves in a horrendous fashion. It was very unprofessional the way they handled this hearing today. Heck's this going to make it, largely because these Dems have no idea what they're doing.
No, I think what he said what he needed to say today, but is it what he really believes is my question.
He was under
because I mean a lot for some people, but he literally, so what did change his mind? Senator Warren asked him, why did you change your position from 32 days ago? And I think the thing that is most troubling about his assertion on standards is that the women in the Army right now or in our military right now have not met those standards. So by the sheer assertion that we have lowered our standards, which we have not, is an insult to the women who are wearing the uniform now and who have worn the uniform. And I have not. I would take offense to that. I take offense to it because they do the ultimate sacrifice. So I think that I don't think he believes what he was saying today. I think he probably will say things. I think he will get confirmed. But when he has to make tough decisions, those clips will play back and people will have questions to answer. The final thing I'll say is it did show that he had a gap of knowledge. And you don't need to know everything, but you should know some things if you're going to run the
Let me play what this exchange with Tammy Duckworth, where she was trying to press him on some facts about, foreign policy that he probably should know.
I just want to say one thing. This is why the misogyny stuff, the right wing just doesn't care about this stuff. If anything, it plays into what they believe in. Right? Women belong at home and especially not in the military. And if you tell them statistics like, oh, the problem is not with women, it's with them, they just don't care. And not only that, like with this hearing with P. Hegseth, they don't care about this stuff. It's along the same lines. They don't care about it. They don't care that he's been accused of sexual assault and that he had to settle out of court. They just don't care about these things. They don't care that he doesn't know anything about this. Look at who they elected for president. Donald Trump. The has to be the most moronic person that's ever run for office. Like, the guy's a fool. Right? These things, these kind of meritocracy, they don't care about meritocracy on the right.
Can you name the importance of at least one of the nations in the ASEAN, and what type of agreement we have with at least one of those nations? And how many nations are in ASEAN, by the way?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount of nations in that, but I know we have allies in South Korea and Japan and in AUKUS with Australia, trying to work on submarines with them.
Mr. Hegseth, none of those countries are in ASEAN.
Across.
None of those 3 countries that you've mentioned are in ASEAN. I suggest you do a little homework before you prepare for these types of negotiations.
So Juan, you've been in Washington for a long time. I mean, I wonder, in the past, if a Secretary of Defense nominee couldn't answer some questions of that type, would that not be considered a qualification issue?
Yeah, but I think that the way it came across was as a gotcha question.
It was a gotcha question.
Right. So, I mean, I think, for a lot of people watching is that, well, so maybe he didn't know that, but is he qualified? And that's, to me, the real question. Is he qualified to manage the largest federal bureaucracy and I think it's the largest military in the world. And is he given any evidence of background in that kind of management skill? And the answer is no. But it's not what happened today. We've had one round. They're not going to have another round of questioning. Yeah. I think this is crazy. But they're not having any more questions. And what he did today, as you pointed out at the very start, was sufficient for, and I think this is what you were getting at, Scott, for the Republicans to say, oh, well, everything's fine, you know, forget about the moral issues, but everything's fine, and don't pay attention to the management issues, and don't pay attention. How can you not pay attention to Tammy Duckworth sitting there, minus limbs, as a woman who served in the U.S. military with great distinction, and you're saying women aren't qualified? But okay, I'll do it. I'll say it now because I want to be confirmed. To me, this is like, you know, expediency.
I think
it's simple. It's because the right wing has been attacking women for how long now? They despise women. They for sure believe women are less than. This is why. They just don't care. The right wing are just going to accept even the ones that act like they do care about women's rights, like Nancy Mace and I forget the other one that Ernst, I forget her name. They're all going to capitulate because it's a cult. It's about a cult. It's not about, right? They have this very antiquated view of the world, and it starts with, I believe, racism, and from there, I've said this before. I think racism acts as almost like a life tree, right? It's the source of how you can be misogynistic, of how you can be against gay people, against trans people, against immigrants. It's the source of it. Because if you can be against someone just for their skin color, right? If that logic equates in your head, it's not that hard to equate, oh yeah, women, this, right? Remember, skin color is enough for you to think someone's less. It's not hard to make to that same brain to have the logic of a woman doesn't have the same capability as a man. A gay person is dangerous and this and that and incompetent, something wrong with them, right? You can have all these crazy views of people if you can get them to be racist, right? Because it's so, to me, barbaric. It's so insane that you can believe that because of someone's skin color that they're less than, or they're incapable of something, or they're inherently, genetically something wrong. That your fellow human, same species you are. If you get someone to believe that, the same person can be fooled to believe all this nonsense.
Not only about this unexplained flip-flop on women serving in the military. It's not only about the fact that he hasn't managed something as large as a Burger King, probably, but that he could not answer basic questions. Not just gotcha questions like, would you uphold the Geneva Conventions? Would you refuse an unlawful order if the president gave you one, which did happen under Trump before with Esbeth? Would you ever sick the U.S. military on American citizens? You know, there are many examples of questions that, yes, he was very articulate and polished, and he's a TV host. That's his main qualification. I know in TV we sometimes get confused.
Why do you denigrate this man's service? I don't understand. 20 years,
Scott,
decorated,
okay. Scott,
Ivy Leaguer.
Never...
He's a TV host. Scott. That's all he is. I don't. It's not his main qualification.
That is his main.
She said he's a TV host. It's his main qualification.
It is his personal.
You're denigrating this man's qualifies you.
Not every member who serves deserves to be in charge of the DOD.
She said his main qualification is that he's a TV host, and I'm sorry, that's just baloney.
I think that gets him 40%.
His main qualification is that he's a warfighter, and he's going to be the closest warfighter we've ever had to the enlisted people running the Pentagon. He's decorated, he's an Ivy Leaguer, and he knows what he's doing.
Just to be clear, Scott, I hear you.
It pinched a nerve. You know why? Because this is a simple truth that anyone could understand. What does everyone know Pete Hegseth for? A Fox News moron, right? A Fox News host. No one knows him about his great military service, all the great things he's done. We didn't even know him about his sexual assault stuff either until now. He's known to be a Fox host. A vile Fox host at that.
You say that because I remember Pete Hegseth said it. I think you should recall that there have been people who have run the Pentagon who have been in war. Even if they are officers, they have been in war. Their service doesn't get to be denigrated either.
I'm not, but I think he's
just
closer to the average enlisted man who has been deployed and deployed and deployed, and anybody that's been up for this job
but do not say,
which is maybe why he defended war criminals.
Do not say that there have not been.
Oh, now he's a war criminal.
No, he defended them when Trump
Let me
pardoned
take a
them.
shot at this. Let me take a shot at this.
He defended them.
This guy killed it today. He came across as a human being. I learned that this was the biggest meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous ever. We had a great job. We learned that every senator drinks. I would ship them some wine to bring down the alcohol content. This was absolutely hilarious at some moments, but he's going to get confirmed. And we can move on. I like dust on boots, a guy that went and fought, saw men and women die, and I also learned today that...
So does that mean if you extrapolate that you really dislike somebody who don't have those dusty boots? How about someone who had a doctor give him a fake excuse about bone spurs to avoid the war? Donald Trump, the president. How do you feel about that? No one's going to bring that up. Like, these people are so inconsistent. It's all garbage, guys. MAGA conservatives out there, they're fooling you. They don't believe any of this. You know what this is? It's a multi-billionaire. What he's doing is what Mark Zuckerberg's doing, what Elon Musk showed them what you can do, Bezos is doing. They're all sucking up to Donald Trump because they know Donald Trump can be bought. Right? They know you cozy up to Donald Trump, you might make an extra few billions this next 4 years. It's not about you, the people. Just listen to the things they say. Not just on this issue, which is more whatever. Just think about it. Or the things they're fighting for and talking about, do these things help you?
Women are in better shape in America than men. How about that? Because they're accepting...
because he said it, right? Because everybody corrected him on it.
No, because the percentage of those coming in and being actually allocated after being tested physically, more women than men on a percentage basis. There's a lot of obesity in men. My goodness, we've learned a lot about healthcare
But
today,
don't you
too.
think
So then why
Hegseth
would
should have
you
known
say
that?
they shouldn't serve? I
Yes.
think, like, yeah, right. But you're not also trying to run the military. He is. So why would he? Obviously, he doesn't even know those stats. I'm not denigrating TV hosts. I love being on television. You know, I think
And
everyone
I think you should say, plus he's a TV host.
Plus, he's a TV host, right?
No, you know what?
He was
Here's the
articulate.
key.
You think
He's
every
a
TV host should be running
TV
DOD?
host.
I
Being
don't.
a TV
Hold on, go
host
ahead,
is
Juan.
helpful in Donald Trump's thinking.
Yes.
That
Because
is the
it
point that she was
sells
making.
Donald Trump and Donald Trump's policies on television, which is apparently all it counts at this. But it's not about, and this is where I get upset, I've known several people who have run the Pentagon. I think back to my friend Colin Powell. You're going to tell me he wasn't in war?
100%.
Colin Powell was out there fighting in Vietnam. And you're going to suggest that this is a guy who has his own very macho ideas about what it means to be a warrior. I don't think that it's necessarily in keeping with U.S. policy with regard to women or in behavior of how we act as soldiers in combat, which is that we act within rules. And he at times says, you know what, too many rules? This is about a killing machine. I think that's very upsetting to a lot of people.
Okay, so we can agree. You have to be...
And I just want to say one thing before I forget. She made a joke about, hey, I like being a TV host. I actually think that's part of the problem and why I feel the need to clean up some of these panels. That's why I show it and try to clean up some of what they're saying, because to be a TV host or to be on TV, you have to play by the rules. There's certain guidelines. You can't step out of it. You can't be 1,000% truthful because your ass will never be invited again. That's part of the problem, right? Media should be independent. You should be able to speak freely about how you see the world. I think especially in these panels, right? The factual stuff should obviously just be facts, but this shouldn't be, filtered in some way.
Someone of service in the military, and you have to serve on TV too. You need both qualifications.
Well, I
It's
think
actually, you don't have, the only qualification of this
we learned today is that you have to be a civilian.
a civilian,
Right.
and we have had to waive that in the past. But he has both. He has civilian service. He has military service. He's highly educated, and there's not too many people in the world who have managed 3 million people at a time. There's a whole team. There's a whole team that manages the Pentagon.
Hold on. Okay, I'm glad you made that point, because let's play what Mark Wayne Mullen said about whether or not Pete Hegseth actually has to have the skills, actually has to have the experience, or whether other people can help him run the Pentagon when he gets there.
So do you believe you're capable of surrounding yourself with capable individuals, that you're going to be able to run those same ideas by, and surround yourself with people that are smarter and better equipped, and maybe areas that you don't necessarily carry those expertise with?
Senator, the only reason I've had success in life, to include my wonderful wife, is because of people more capable around me and having the self-confidence to empower them and say, hey, run with the ball, run with the football, take it down the field. We'll do this together. I don't care who gets the credit.
So for someone who is obsessed with DEI, sounds to me like if we had a black or a brown person sitting in that seat and they said, well, you know, I don't really have the requisite knowledge, but I'm just going to empower all the people around me,
Yes.
Republicans would have a field day about
Great
Not even
question.
about running the military. If Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson sat in front of the judiciary hearing and said, I'll just surround myself around clerks who know the law and not me, she would never be, and not only would she never be a Supreme Court justice, she would have been raked over the coals left, right, up, and down. We're talking, this whole hearing was about standards. And
Quick fact, remember, women are the most educated group in the country, and they will still be ridiculed like that. Why do you think that is, MAGA or conservatives out there? What would be the difference?
my question just is, does he have the standards? Now, the other thing we haven't talked about yet is you're right. Most people have not run something that has 3 million people. You know, most folks run smaller companies, but it's how you run them. And from my understanding is that he did not run them well. He did not run their budgets well. He spent too much. And his claim is that he wants to bring spending down. But you have to understand some of the basic functions of an audit. You have to understand how to read an audit. You should have participated in an audit before if you're going to run one for the largest
I don't think
military.
you can dispute that he was not a good manager of the finances of the nonprofits that he ran. Because it's in the numbers. It's in the 990s. It's in the tax documents.
I don't know that. I mean, I see what's been reported, but I also think what's been reported about him has either been terribly anonymously sourced and maybe exaggerated. Look, I understand.
Even with public sources, there's no one's opinion, no one's reporting. They just, when a fact is not beneficial for them, no, it's not real. I don't believe them. They've lied before. When it benefits them, oh, it's reported. It's public data. These people are just so inconsistent. Conservatives, I hope you're starting to see, little by little, that they're playing you. They're playing games here.
And why everybody,
And also
Democrats,
the
all of you
letter
all
that
upset about
he
how this
wrote
went.
saying that they only had $1,000 left. He wrote that letter.
That
was penned
look,
by
all the Democrats here are carping about are very upset because
please don't describe those of us who are journalists
the
as
Democratic
Democrats.
the Democratic
I'm not
Party,
a paid Republican strategist.
the
I'm not a paid
Democratic
Democratic
Party,
strategist,
yeah, I
unlike
don't
somebody
pretend like
across
I'm
the
saying
table.
I'm not. The
finish your
Democratic
thoughts,
Party conducted itself today in a terrible fashion. Tim Kaine, in his line of questioning, sounded like a sex pervert
He
as he
sounded
went
like he
on and
wanted
on and
someone
on.
who
It was
wanted to
terrible.
know who was,
And so all these
cheated
issues
on
you all
his
are
wife.
raising, why didn't Tim Kaine spend 8 minutes on that instead of spending 8 minutes dumpster diving with his stupid opposition research dump? It was atrocious, and the Dems killed any chance they had of making a case against this guy. It was
think
terrible.
the numbers are in your favor. So a hearing is not probably going to be determinative since they only had
Unbelievable.
one round of questioning. They didn't even do a second round of questioning. What Tim Kaine asked today is, did you cheat on your wife when you made a vow to her?
Who cares?
Did
Why
you
does
think
that have
helped?
anything
Did
to
you think it
do
did
with
help the
running a
Democrats?
mandate in the military? He might have had
Whether you lie about it or not?
Did you cheat on your wife? Can you conduct a war? What does that have to? What does that have to do with anything? Many people cheat on their wives and
character,
husbands.
values.
What does that have to do with you run a military mandate?
Well,
what does that have to do with
if
the
you
job?
are-
Part of the
This
problem
candidate
that
is going to
we don't
pass.
think that matters.
It would be
anymore.
interesting. Look, I think, look, at the end of the day,
I think the point, yes, when you look at it in a vacuum, the point, obviously, that doesn't matter. People go through public issues, but when you put all the context together, what was his view on women's, he cheated on his wife, he paid for a sexual abuse settlement, he has drinking problems, right? You can't take one of these things and put it in a vacuum and say, well, what's the problem with this? Put it all together, and it forms you, right, a character. Right? This is a character you start to build. That's the issue. That's why collectively, that's what she should have said. It's an issue. Character matters. For the right wing, of course, it just doesn't anymore. But it should matter.
doesn't matter. I think if you are
50%
up
of
for-
Americans are divorced
if you
that
are
started
up
marriage.
for a promotion
Not
in
the
the
point.
military, you better believe that stuff like that matters.
It does
It
matter,
absolutely matters.
and here's the thing.
For marriage?
It
Counseling?
does matter
counseling,
when you
infidelity
are
does
in the
matter.
military.
It
And
does
if
You
you
have to stay married, can't get divorced.
No, it didn't.
No,
I'm
no,
not
it's not
saying
about that.
Cheating.
It's
Yeah.
a matter of your
Character.
Cheating on
integrity.
your wife, my
There you
goodness.
go.
Let me just say, in the military, it's measured as a matter of your integrity and your ability to command other people
Yep.
and imbue sense of trust in others. That's
Wow,
what
you're
that-
stretching that one.
No, I'm
way
not.
too
I'm just telling. That's
No, I'm
exactly
telling
This is
Kevin.
a civilian.
Kevin.
This is a civilian position.
I understand.
No, it's not, but I just
Kevin,
think there's a
I'm just
bigger
telling you
issue.
that's not made up. That's a real thing.
It's just,
He's not up for general. He's up for a civilian
I
position.
get it.
There's a total difference.
I get it.
But I
that's-
think there's
Tonight
a
on
double
CNN,
standard.
the Republicans don't care about
I think
family
there's a
values.
huge double
Oh,
standard.
party
The
of-
Oh,
Republicans-
good
the
point.
Republicans
And
were
dug him off.
talking
Don't get the
about
lecture me.
evangelical issues of morality. And we said, oh, we've got a Democrat here who's well known for, and then all the charges emerged. They would absolutely
Yeah.
take him apart, Scott.
Well, I've
All
learned
right, we
something
gotta
here
go
tonight.
there,
Some of
guys.
my CEOs have been married 3 times. They should go to prison by now.
All right, we're gonna leave it there. This guy is such an idiot. Always, this is what right wingers do. They take one little thing in a vacuum. Why does it matter if he did this? Put it all collectively. He doesn't have a really good view on women. Clearly, there are a bunch of women in the military. How can you not understand the issue here? These people don't care about character. But let me know what you think about in the comments about this whole video. I'm gonna leave it there. Please subscribe if you're not. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.